All right. Welcome back, everyone, to You Don't Look It, a podcast about a little bit of everything here and there. How have you been, Danny?
Oh, one of my high school friends called me the goddess of chaos this morning, and it was in response to something I had said about um, my ex-girlfriend and some interactions we had. And I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not far off. Because I think I genuinely do just attract chaos. Sometimes I cause it, but I don't often anymore. Not since 2017. May she rest in peace.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Well, that's always fun. That is a good name, though. I appreciate that.
I appreciated it very much. I'm like, that is going to be a name for something, and I don't know what.
Have that, if you get like a purebred dog, have that be their registered name.
For like the AKC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like Goddess of Chaos.
Goddess of Chaos. And that'd be her like competing name, but she's actually like really, really soft and like calm and chill. And Ivar's actually the chaotic motherfucker in the corner, like losing his shit.
Literally, yes. Rudy's registered name is Freedom Paws Roguish Rutabaga.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Look at him go.
I wanted...
Like... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh. I didn't have enough syllables. That's not what I was saying.
Letters.
Enough spaces. Yeah, exactly. I didn't have enough letters because he has a PALS number opposed to like an actual AKC number.
Oh, PALS. Okay, PALS is your organization, right?
No. So PALS is like on the AKC PALS, like if you have a purebred dog. PALS is for people who have purebred dogs, but they don't have like the paper, like they can't do confirmation and stuff like that. So like it's a purebred dog, but like you didn't get the paperwork from a breeder, like it didn't come registered or whatever. So you can still participate in sports. So
Ivar can do that. Okay, because he actually is a purebred Siberian Husky, and like to my surprise, he's actually like, no, I won't say like really well bred because I genuinely don't know his background.
He looks like nice though.
I know with the genetic testing we've done, he's clear for everything that they tested for, which is like 170 to 180 conditions.
Damn.
He's really like, he's big for his size, but he's 57 pounds and 60 is the highest end of standard you can go. So he's just under the mark. And sometimes when he gets fat, he is 60. And like, he's a little like cowhocked only on his like right back leg, but not in such a way that I'm like concerned it's going to cause orthopedic problems.
Right.
And his vet has looked at it and he's like, I don't really think it's a problem. It's just some dogs walk like that.
Right. Yeah, no. Rudy has these, the chiropractor said he has a stilted walk.
What does that mean? Rump. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really don't know.
I feel that because people be shouting dog terms at me and I'm like, I'm a really big dog person, but I genuinely don't know what the fuck that means.
I know. My friend sent us a picture of one of their dogs, like x-rays for their elbows. And they're like, what do you guys think of this? And I was like, I'm going to be honest. I have no fucking idea what's happening.
Literally. Okay. When I got my x-rays done on my hips to see if I had anything wrong with them.
Right.
Side note, I have a bilateral hip impingement. They showed it to me, and the nurse was like, oh, what do you think this looks like? And I'm like, oh, those look great to me. And the doctor came in, and she's like, actually, this is probably one of the most progressive and, like, bad cases of hip impingement I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, cool. I don't know what to look for.
Oh, my God.
I'm over here, I'm like, well, nothing's touching, and that gray stuff is like cartilage, right? And she's like, no, that is extra bone growing around the socket. You are not okay.
Oh my God. That would be me, though. I'd be like, wow, I am so great. And they'd be like, actually, no.
I know, and like, I forget what an orthopedist is called all the time, and I called her the bone lady, and she didn't like it.
Did you call her to her face?
Yeah.
Like, hey, bone lady, what's up?
Well, okay, so I was on the phone with my dad, and he was like, where the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm at the bone lady. And she was, like, in the room, and I'm like, oh, my God, no. And she looked at me and she's like, what? And I'm like back at her and I'm like, what? And
Like, I forgot what you're called. You're the bone lady. It's
you're
fine.
the bone lady now, and I'm sorry, but that's what it is.
My God. I've literally no idea what my point. I was talking about Rudy's pals numbers. Oh, roguish rutabaga. Oh, I didn't have enough letters because he was a pals and not like a registered, like, you know, the purebred, you know, get your papers from the breeder situation. If I did, I was going to name him Freedom Paws Farm Fresh Rutabaga, but
wow, he's a fresh boy.
A woman he is.
Fresh. Honestly, I think if it were open, I would probably just name him like Ivar the Boneless something. I'd probably have to like put other words in there because I'm sure that's taken.
It depends because like they do it by breed, so there could even be another one, like, but it could be like a golden retriever or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
which would not be fitting at all. I'm sorry,
no,
she's not fitting.
No,
like, and part of the reason I named him that is because I'm like, he looks crazy, like he looks mean, and he sounds mean, like,
but he's not. He's a sweet nugget.
Oh my God. Okay, so sorry, going into another side rant. We ran into an off-leash dog yesterday.
No.
That was just, and I thought it was on an invisible fence, so I kept walking because it was just in a yard. And then it walked into the street, and I'm like, I'm fucked. And it was this obese chocolate lab, and I was like, okay.
Of course it was an obese lab.
I know. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put Ivor on a sit, I'm going to unhook his leash, and I'm going to grab the dog and hook Ivor's leash to this dog. Because I was like, my dog will stay in a sit, and I can grab this dog. Well, no, because Ivor's an asshole, and he hasn't worked in 2 months. He sees this dog, and once he's off leash, he only kind of sits down, and then he gets back up and engages with the dog. And I'm like, I fucking God. And
what a hoe.
Thank God this dog was really friendly and docile.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't like Ivor to play with dogs that aren't Huskies or aren't, like, German Shepherds or Belgian Malinois or, like, a really crackhead dog. Because he plays like a crackhead, and
I think that's why he and Rudy got along, because Rudy plays like a crackhead.
Yeah. And like, thank God this dog was so docile, because Ivar was like making the husky noises that can very easily sound aggressive.
Right.
And I know they're not aggressive because he's my dog and I've played with him before. And he makes those noises all the time. But the guy came out and he finally grabbed his dog and he's like, oh, he's protecting his mama. And I'm like, no, he's not. But also put your dog on a leash, because that could have easily turned into a dog fight, because that's usually what happens when Ivar plays with other dogs that aren't crackheads.
Right. Jesus. Ugh, people, please leash your dogs.
Love my neighborhood. It's great. Also, like,
we love it.
Do you want your dog to just run into the street and get hit by a car? Like,
oh my gosh.
I never understood that. Like, people in the South just let their dogs roam. And I've encountered so many off-leash dogs and just been told, like, oh, that's just a neighbor's dog. He just lets them roam. And I'm like,
that's not safe.
Do you not love your dog? Like, your dog's going to get picked up by animal control or it's going to get hit by a car.
Right. Ugh, poor. That's so sad, because, like, you know, it'll end badly one of these days if they keep letting it happen. I think I've only seen one off-leash dog in my. I can't. I fucking love it. It's a wiener dog. I love wiener dogs. And Steven, I was sitting on the couch and Steven came home from work one day. This was like maybe 2 months ago. This was right before the quarantine. And he's like, I just saw a ween. And I was like, oh,
what?
Ween?
Does he just call it the ween?
I do. And so he started, because one time I was like, I saw a ween at the park. And he's like, did someone flash you? And I was like, no. But he came home. He's like, I saw a ween. I was like, let's get back in the car. I want to see this. And so we literally ran down to the car and drove up the street. And I saw it. And it was a long-haired little ween. And it had a little white face. And it was so cute. And it was just roaming, but it was, we stopped because we weren't sure if it was someone's, and we were looking at it and it's just staring at us. And Steven's like, I thought it was a rodent when it first crossed the street.
Oh my God.
Like, that's one big bitch.
I mean, hey, the rats get that big in New York.
That's fair. That's really fair. But, yes, love me some wiener dogs. My first dog was a wiener dog named Max.
Cute.
Such icons. Okay, what story do you have for me today? Unless you had something else to say. Sorry, I just figured we'd ramble and maybe not everyone likes that.
Cut me off. Fucking cut me off. Do it. Because I'll go. I'll just keep going. Like,
We'll just have conversations. We'll be like, wait, what were we gonna do?
God forbid we ever do a Q&A.
Oh my
Like,
god. We'll like get so sidetracked. We'll get through one question.
I know, it'll be a fucking nightmare. I have ADHD. Okay, so today I have the story of Julie Diobany.
Ooh.
Better known as Mademoiselle de Maupin or La Maupin.
I have never heard of her.
Oh, you are in for a treat. She was
I am
born.
hyped.
Oh, yes. She was born in 1673 in France, and she was the only child. And her father was the secretary to. Sorry, my notes are fucked up. I ever cut that out because it was going for so good. It was going for long. Fuck. Okay. So, La Maupin was a French opera singer in France, or obviously in France. God damn it! Why can't I get my shit together?
Yo, it's been a rough couple days.
I'm very stressed out. Okay. La Maupin was an only child, and her father was a secretary. His name was Gaston d'Aubigny. He was secretary to Louis de Lorraine Gouache. Squash.
We're not French, folks.
I'm not French, and I took a year of French, and I failed. So this is my skills. Anyway, her father worked for the Comte d'Armagnac. Fucking hell, the Comte, the master of the horse, for King Louis XIV. It's gonna take me forever to get through this intro.
YOLO.
The environment in which La Maupin grew up in was very rough, but also very grand. As horses were the main form of transportation, she was able to interact with many different people from many walks of life who...
Okay, let me tell you, I just want to live somewhere where riding a horse is the main form of transportation.
I mean, it is the 17th century, so it wasn't that comfortable. I used to ride horses a lot. My sister worked at a barn. I got bit a lot. I got stepped on a lot. And everything smelled. And I didn't like it.
I rode for 10 years. And you know what? I'd just ride a horse anywhere now if I could.
You know what? That's fair. Honestly, I would love to go through the drive-thru somewhere on horseback. Like, I've seen people do that. And that's just my dream. Like,
oh my God. If any of my friends listen to this, they're going to be like, horse girl.
My sister is that horse girl. And... oh... I'm not going to go into it. It'll go on forever. I'm just going to get back to the story before I go on a rant.
I'm just thinking of a bunch of horse girl memes right now.
Oh my God, for real. Scarred for life. Okay. So thousands of people worked in these stables. And these were like blacksmiths, people training horses. Tons of people were in and out all the time for hunts and war and just general transportation for bureaucrats and the king. Her father was a fencing master and taught fencing to the court pages. Because of her father's position, she was allowed to learn reading, writing, dance, drawing, horseback riding, horse maintenance and repair, gambling, fist fighting, fencing, and
horse repair or maintenance and repair?
Maintenance and repair.
Oh, I thought you said horse maintenance and repair.
That's what I said, yeah. Like maintaining horses and like repairing their hooves and like their saddles and shit.
Oh, I thought you meant like, this one's got a fucking,
this one's got a fucking faulty screw. Let's just, yeah.
Like, let's repair this horse. Oh, a leaky tube.
Oop, the blinker's out.
Oh, gosh. Okay, sorry.
Okay. From a young age, she was a strong fencer and would often cross-dress. This was most likely due to the fact that she would train with the court pages while her father taught. Additionally, she was known to be very beautiful. She was super tall, had bright blue eyes, and dark auburn hair.
Wow.
Honestly, that's my type. That's my type.
Like I do like me some auburn hair.
Me too. I mean, tall girls with curly hair. That's my fucking problem. That's my fucking problem.
It's like you all heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You know Danny's type.
That's my type, unfortunately. I mean,
People
that's a
call
very
in
hard
people.
thing to, like, the very hard type to find.
So if you're it,
So if
call
you're it,
us.
hit me up because I have been chronically single for the past 5 years.
Oh my gosh, yes, please do, honestly. I would love this. I would love to set you up with someone who
Thank you. It's
listens.
very necessary. It's becoming a thing.
It's
It's becoming a thing. Okay. So the Comte, which is Daddy's boss, took her
oh.
as a mistress when she was 14 years old because he a
Oh.
pedo.
Oh.
But in
Oh.
but in 1687, the Comte arranged her marriage to Sieur de Maupin, and she became Madame de Maupin or La Maupin. And honestly, a lot of sources say that he did this so he didn't seem creepy. Some sources say this so that it was like, oh, he's covering his back. He's just helping her get a good marriage prospect. Some sources were like, she was fucking too much, and he had to get rid of
Yeah.
her.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Soon after their marriage, her husband received an administrative position as a tax collector in southern France. However, the court left her in Paris. The Count, I'm dyslexic. The Count left her in Paris as she did not wish to go with him, and she wanted to continue her affair with the Comte. Some sources say that Julie's husband was sent away the day after the wedding by the Comte. Others obviously say that the Comte was trying to get rid of her, so who freaking knows? Honestly,
very different.
if she's a lot like her adult self in her younger years, I would say it's the Comte trying to get rid of her. Because she was a lot.
Piece of work.
Not long after, she got bored with the Comte and left him for her fencing master, Serene, after she moved to Marseille.
Ooh.
Not to be confused with Versailles, because I don't know where Marseille is.
It's in southern France, I believe.
Okay. You actually know geography.
My
sister didn't know where Windsor Castle was. We were playing, like, some trivia game, and she thought it was on the Rhine River. Y'all, that's my last name. That shit's in Germany. Why would Windsor Castle be on... I don't...
If it makes you feel better, my mother's gonna hate me for sharing this if she hears this. But she she thought China was in Europe one time.
No!
Yeah, I like to harass her, and she's not a fan.
That's really bad. Okay, that's worse than not knowing where Windsor Castle is. But honestly, not knowing where Windsor Castle is like not knowing where the White House is. Like,
that's fair.
You could at least say the White House is in America. You know?
That's true.
Like, yes, right? Okay. So, Serene was wanted for murder and had to flee Versailles for killing a man in an illegal duel. And when I say illegal duel, I mean he stabbed some poor bastard to death in an alley outside of Paris.
What kind of bullshit duel is that?
That's not a duel. It's just a fucking stabbing spree.
Yeah, that's a straight up just murder right there.
Yeah, no, he was a straight up murderer. So what does La Maupin do? She dresses as a man and joins him on the run. For the next few months, they tavern hopped across France. They financed their lifestyle by dueling for entertainment and teaching fencing lessons and doing demonstrations at fairs and taverns.
Wow.
She was usually dressed as a man for this, but never did try to hide her gender. So It was like dressing as a man because how the fuck you gonna fight in a skirt? Like,
true.
And a corset.
Very true.
I mean, I wore corsets for years. Fighting in a steel bone corset, like, while it may save you from getting impaled, moving is not a thing.
You'll get hit. You may not get impaled, but you'll get hit more.
You'll get fucking hit. She would also sing for money in the taverns, as she had a really beautiful singing voice. One of the rumors during this time states that a man at one of these fencing demonstrations did not believe she was a woman because she was so skilled. So she removed her blouse, exposing her breasts to the astonishment of the man and the crowd, and continued with the demonstration.
What a damn mood if that ain't me.
For real, man. I mean, that is the kind of chaotic energy. That's the kind of chaotic energy that just makes you a goddess of chaos.
A woman.
That should have been the name of the podcast.
Goddesses of chaos.
That's us.
Oh my god.
That's our biker gang name.
True. Also, guys, in case you're wondering why I say a woman, it's because it's like amen, but better.
It's because it's the feminist version.
A woman it is.
After a few months of this lifestyle, Julie tired of Serene and began a new life and began singing at the Mont Opera and was a very successful singer and actress. Here she met her lover, a merchant's daughter, whose identity is still unknown. She's mostly just known as a blonde woman.
Oh, so she was bi.
Oh, she was a raving bisexual.
Yes.
I love this.
This is amazing.
This is one of my favorite parts of the story. When the girl's parents learned of their affair, they sent her to a convent to pray the gay away and live a celibate lifestyle.
No!
However, this would not keep Julie from her girl. La Maupin went undercover, taking holy orders to become a nun. She then stole the body of a recently deceased nun, placed the body in the bed of her girlfriend, and set the room on fire, thus burning down the convent and faking her girlfriend's death, allowing the two to elope.
Excuse me? How savage can you get? That's amazing.
I love this. After 3 months on the road, Julie's girlfriend tired of the exciting lifestyle, returned home, much to the surprise of her grieving parents, who then appealed to the court and had Julie charged with kidnapping, arson, and grave robbing. However, Julie never showed up for her court date, and if Julie were to be caught, she would be burned at the stake.
So, would we really expect her to show up?
Yeah, she was sentenced during so it was like during this appeal that she was charged with all these things, and the judge went, oh, for these charges, we're going to burn her at the stake. And had she shown up for that court date, she would have found out then and there she would have been burned. So
I don't blame her for just to skip it out, even though she didn't know.
Yeah, but this would have been an unlikely punishment at the time. It was considered very harsh at the time for her crimes. But because of that big gay and burning down a convent, they tacked on the death penalty.
Very sacrilegious.
Yeah, they really went full witch hunt with that.
You flaming bisexual you. How
can't
dare
have that.
You?
We will kill you with your own flames. Julie continued her travel across France in men's clothing. One day, she met a noble, Louis-Joseph Dalver-Luynes. My bad. Dyslexic and French, can't do it.
Yeah.
Not knowing she was a woman, Louis challenged her to a duel in which she won, wounding his shoulder in the process. He sent a friend to contact her after learning that she was a woman, and she agreed to visit Count Louis and nursed him back to health. They began a short romance, which ended with... Yeah, I know. They began a short romance which ended with Louis being forced to return to his military unit. However, they became lifelong friends and continued to see each other and write to each other for the rest of her life.
Wow. So they actually stayed friends after their failed love affair.
Well, to be honest, it probably didn't last more than a month because he was probably on leave and then got wounded and then returned once he was back to full health.
That's fair.
That was such a short affair too that they don't have great records on that time period.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Other than this is how they met, and then later down the line she ends up biting his ear off on stage. And
wait. What?
Oh yeah, it's fine. The crowd loved it, and apparently Count Louis was not that mad about it.
I would have been pissed.
Yeah, this woman's got a few screws loose, but I love her. So
gal.
After this, she began singing lessons with a retired opera singer, Maricel. I hope to God that's right. She began a new affair with a young opera singer, Gabrielle Vincent Théravard, who inspired Julie to try out for the Paris Opera. Théravard secured an audition for the two of them, and Julie knew it was time to clean up her criminal record, because bad bitch can't be rolling up to an opera like that.
True.
It's not really good for Job prospects.
Yeah, no. That would
Julie,
get you rejected real fast.
yeah, just a little bit. Julie wrote to the Comte asking for a position in the Paris Opera. And because the crown and the church were at odds at the time, Louis XIV, not wanting the church involved in state matters and the church trying to gain power over the crown, the king would often commission and promote artists who were critical of those in power so that they would focus on the church rather than the crown after receiving payment or notoriety from the crown that allowed advancement in their career.
Ooh, gotcha.
Yeah, so because she was wanted by the church for burning down a convent, she would be most likely to be critical of them.
Right.
The,
Fair.
the Comte petitioned to the king for Julie's pardon at her request. Louis XIV found her story very interesting, as she was likely to throw a critical eye on the church. He gave her a pardon and allowed her to take the stage.
Damn. Good for her.
The Paris Opera was also a Royal Academy of the Arts, owned by the king, where he would often spend much of his time and perform ballets. So King Louis just out there dancing.
Oh my god, what a progressive guy.
Right? Thus making it the perfect safe haven from the church. Also, important side note, he was actually a progressive guy in some ways, other ways not.
Yes.
His brother, Prince Philip, was openly gay and would cross-dress as a woman.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Attend balls that way. So Louis XIV really couldn't make any laws against homosexuality at the risk of having his brother suffer the consequences of those laws.
Yeah, that would not be good. Jesus Christ, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Which is kind of how she got away with this for so long. Just being openly bi.
She's just like, hey bitches, I'm here. I'm queer.
Not going anywhere. Like,
yeah.
Gonna dress as a man all I want.
Oh, loving this. Yes.
She debuted as Pallas Athena, the goddess of war, in 1690.
Yes.
She quickly
love me some Athena.
Right. She quickly gained fame for her fencing skills and her appearance, and Julie became widely known as La Maupin. She performed at the Paris Opera from 1690 to 1694. She had a photographic memory, and she was able to commit her lines to memory after only reading the script once or twice. And she also had one of the most beautiful singing voices in all of Paris, which quickly led to great success.
Wow, so she's a fucking full package when it comes to performing.
She's like not only an inalienable badass, but also, I guess, like a world-renowned singer and actress.
That's impressive. Damn.
Honestly, she's a fucking impressive person. Eccentric as hell, but impressive.
We love it.
We love it. I love eccentric people. One of her most widely renowned scandals happened at a court ball she attended dressed as a man. She kissed a young single woman on the dance floor, a marchioness.
Ooh, saucy.
Who was highly sought after. Julie was challenged to a duel for the lady's honor by 3 men who she defeated simultaneously outside in the courtyard.
What a goddamn queen. I love it.
Right? Like, she just left them bloodied and just lying there in a courtyard.
She's like, suck it, this bitch mine.
Gotta leave these bastards in the street. She then returned to the ballroom, victorious, badass bitch, and continued flirting and seducing women as usual.
Oh my god, that's iconic.
However, as La Maupin was there as a guest of the king's brother, Prince Philip, this did not go over well. Duels were made illegal by Louis XIV, and Julie had to abandon her career in Paris and flee to Brussels.
That's sad.
Yeah, and she got away with these duels at first because the laws they stated that men could not duel, but she was a woman, so if anybody was going to get in trouble for the duel, it would be the men she was dueling. And that shit didn't fly after about the 10th time she used that excuse. So
that's fair.
I think she's said to have killed 11 men like this by seducing women at parties, and then their husbands or men defending the lady's honor coming up to her and suggesting a duel. And then she would either get in a seriously badass fist fight and beat them to a pulp, or kill them
Oh,
in a
God.
duel, and she killed 11 men that way.
Jesus.
So she's a little bit of a murderer.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's great. She restarted her acting career in Brussels and became the mistress of the Elector of Bavaria. However, during one of her performances, she stabbed herself with a real dagger for that authentic death scene, which frightened the Elector, leading him...
What a commitment. Oh my God.
I mean, hey, authenticity. 10 points for authenticity.
Jeez, crow.
How-
Do we know where she stabbed herself?
No, but I'm gonna assume like in the chest area, because
Jesus.
in a lot of operas, there's like a lot of tragedy operas where the like female lead stabs her. I'm actually named for an opera, where the female lead stabs herself in the chest.
Oh, that's funsies.
Yeah, the woman I'm named for was actually real, and she did stab herself in the chest and die. So, yeah, it's great.
What a jam. I love that.
It's great. But either way, this scene was so frightening to the Elector of Bavaria that he gave her 40,000 francs to leave him the fuck alone. And she threw this money back at him.
Terrible that someone pays me to leave.
Right? Like, she's such a goddamn terror, such a fucking menace. I'm gonna pay you 40,000 francs. And crap, I forgot to add it into the notes. But like 40,000 francs at this time, I think was supposed to be something crazy, like $1 million.
Oh, damn. Damn.
We might add that to the description below once ever is done with the editing, because it was something crazy, like obscene. She must have been very bad, hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but good for him,
That's
though, because she threw the money back at his feet and left for Madrid.
Wow.
Yeah, look at her go. She became the maid to a popular countess, Countess Marino. However, she fucking hated this job. And in an act of spite, while preparing the countess for a grand ball, Julie placed radishes in the Countess Marino's hair in such a way that the countess could not see the radishes herself, to embarrass her at the ball.
What the fuck? Who thinks of that?
I don't know. That was really fucking creative, and I'm guessing there's like a hidden innuendo to radishes that, like, we don't know because it was the 17th century.
Right, and in France.
And
she's like, I'm going to put radishes in your hair.
Well, in Madrid, but I'm sure there's like a sexual
Oh, yeah,
innuendo.
it was Madrid. We're not in France right now. Sorry.
Yeah. But either way, Julie fled for Paris before the Countess could return and beat her ass. So, good, smart on her part.
Yeah.
Julie gained a second pardon and took the stage again, which I don't know how you get 2 pardons, and the second for murder, but whatever, I guess. Determined to introduce the contralto style, which is a singing style that originated in Italy and is very deep. She really wanted to get that popular in Paris and in France. That she even had an opera written especially for her to accommodate the contralto style for women, because it's very difficult for women to sing.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because it was like super deep. She would often defend young chorus girls backstage from unwanted advances from other cast members and patrons.
Fuck yes.
Yes, queen.
Oh,
women protect
what a
women.
Gal.
We like that.
Mm-hmm.
She once publicly beat an actor for harassing a friend of hers, a female actress, backstage. As he was...
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I'm taking it that, like, during the interaction, she stepped in and was like, hey, get the fuck away from her. But as he was walking home from the opera, La Maupin blocked his path on the street and challenged him to a duel, sword in hand.
Oh my god.
When he refused to duel, she beat his ass and stole his pocket watch.
Oh my god. She's like, I'm gonna challenge you to a duel, but you actually have no choice whatsoever, so just do it.
So a duel is with swords. She then engaged him in a fist fight and a lynching with a wooden cane.
Oh my god. What a bitch.
I know. She is one crazy motherfucker. The next day,
Jesus.
when he came into the theater, badly bruised and beaten, he told his coworkers that he was mugged by 3 large thugs.
Oh,
Only,
was he
oh, he was
embarrassed?
embarrassed.
Oh,
But the next part is probably
fragile
worse for him
masculinity. Oh, Jesus.
because Julie declared him a liar and threw his pocket watch at him, exposing his cover up and forcing him to kneel and beg for forgiveness in front of everyone.
Oh my God. Like, I know this is like not great, but I would honestly pay to see that.
Honestly, same. I know people with this specific type of chaotic energy, and I had to
God.
stop hanging out with them because they were going to get me arrested.
Oh my God.
And I loved it, and it was hilarious, and it was fun, and I have stories for a lifetime, but I am so glad I left the situation and did not get arrested. Because that's what
Yeah,
it was
that's
going to
true.
lead to.
That's a positive. We will take not being arrested.
Yes, I like that very much. However, things started to go really downhill for Julie as her aggressive and erratic behavior worsened. She became infatuated with a renowned soprano and tried to kill herself when her advances were turned down.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. A little bit unstable. She also threatened to
Relatable.
shoot the Duchess of Luxembourg and went to court for attacking her landlord.
She's just getting
She just,
really
in her
violent.
old age, gets very just super out there violent. Nonetheless, La Maupin remained adored by the public for her contralto singing, her dueling, and wearing men's clothes. In 1703, La Maupin fell in love with the most beautiful woman in France, the Marquis de Florasanque. The Dauphin became obsessed with Florasanque, and she fled to Brussels in order to avoid him. That's pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
La Maupin followed. The couple lived happily in
Naturally.
Brussels for 2 years until the Marquis de Florasanque died of fever in 1705 when Julie
That's
was
sad.
31.
Oh, wow.
I know. I kind of think they didn't have much on this because I think Julie kind of like chilled the fuck out. But
She took a Zanny.
she took a Xanny and chilled the fuck out. But I do think that this was probably like the love of her life kind of thing
Gotcha.
because she was so devastated by this. Julie entered a convent for realsies this time, where she
Jesus.
stayed until she died in 1707 at the age of 33.
Wow.
All of that in
Wow.
33 years is noodles to me.
That's intense. I'm shook that she joined a convent at the end.
Right? And some say this is fabricated for that reason, that they're trying to add a moral to her story, that, God always wins, something like that. But some say that she was actually reunited with her original husband and lived out the rest of her life happily and in luxury.
Oh, I could see
So
that.
some say that, so there is some suspicion that maybe she dropped off the face of the earth because she was like wanted in so many places for crimes and
Fair.
like pulled another convent like death thing, like faking your death. And I mean, she was always kind of estranged to her husband, so maybe she just went back to him and was like, "Oh, look, we're still married because divorce isn't real because it's 1707 and I would like to live in luxury now and I'll leave you the fuck alone if you give me a nice cottage."
It's like, take me back and I'll leave you be.
And it'll be fine. It'll be great.
What a queen. Honestly, that was wild. She lived an intense life.
I know. I love La Maupin. Like, I saw her story by chance on Tumblr and I was like, oh my God, like several years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman is a queen and nobody knows about her. And that's devastating.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever heard of her. Like, the name didn't even sound familiar. So I think I am definitely a more enriched person for having heard that glorious story.
It makes me so sad too because I'm like, women's history is hardly ever talked about in schools.
That's very true. Yeah.
And like
And
people
when it
usually
is,
know
it's
like,
always
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, and when women are talked about, it's never in like a badass way, which is lame.
It's usually somebody's wife or
Right.
like Rosa Parks, which she is a badass woman. But
yes.
Probably the only badass bitch I heard about in school.
True, honestly, yeah. So you'll get a lot of badass women on this podcast, even though I've only talked about men so far. But Danni's
women
got a
is
snazzy theme.
Women is my sphere of interest.
Oh, hells yeah.
Hells yeah,
creepy. I do love some badass bitches.
That sounded so creepy.
Women is my sphere of interest.
My sphere of interest. I hate that.
Now that we've scared you all away. I'm just kidding.
And now that I've officially been the creepy one.
The creepy one. Glad you did it before me. Just kidding. All right. So today, my story is, I like to call this, okay, let me get my notes up. Sorry. I like to call this story, one fish, two fish, dead fish, new fish.
Beautiful. Seussical.
Exactly.
Very Seussical of you.
So this story has to do with my friend Mika's fish. Well, multiple fish, I should say, from college. So the college I first went to, I actually went to, so where I graduated, it was online, but I physically went to my first year of college. And I had a friend named Mika. And so after my first night of really drinking and getting drunk, we played Drunk Monopoly. I'll share that story another time. I went to see my friend Mika in the morning. She just lived down the hall from me. And so I got to Mika's room and I just sat on the floor and I was talking to her. And then she looks over at her fish. So her fish's name is Rostopowfish. And
why?
And that's named after the famous cellist Rostropovich.
Oh, okay.
Because she was a cellist. Or she is a cellist, so she wanted to name him. So she was looking at Rostopowfish and she started sobbing. I was like, what's wrong? Because Mika cries at everything, whether it's good or bad. So I wasn't too shocked that she was crying. But she looks at the fish and she's like, he's dead. And I'm like, I don't believe you. You literally always think he's dead.
Oh my God, that's me and my dog. I'm like, he's dead. He's not breathing. And he's just sleeping.
Sleeping. I feel that. Oh God. But yeah, so she was like, he's dead. He's gone. I was like, I don't fucking believe you. So I went over and I looked and I was like, oh shit, you're right. This is real this time. So Mika sobbed and I don't know what we were doing, but later that day, I was like, oh, I really like this classical piece. And I didn't realize it was called the Death Ode or something. So then she started crying again.
Oh my God.
And
she's surrounded by death.
And the night before, she was talking about how her friend had a fish that was dying. And her friend poured a shot of vodka into the fish's tank.
What the fuck?
And then it lived another 2 years.
What the? That's abuse. That's animal abuse.
No, I know. And so I was like, you didn't give it vodka last night, did you? And she was like, no, I love him. She didn't.
I mean, at least she didn't. That's fucked up.
Oh, yeah, no. When she told me that story, I was like, oh my God, I hope it's not. No, but yeah, I didn't remember much from that night because I drank way too hard. So she said apparently while I was throwing up mushrooms the night before, she said that was an imperative fact to add to the story.
No, people just throw up mushrooms, and that's one of the reasons I never want to do mushrooms is because people just sit there and they're like, oh yeah, I'll do mushrooms again. They've done it 4 times and they puke every time, and I'm like, that's not a good
I would like
high,
it to be
bro.
known this was mushrooms from my pasta I had for dinner.
Oh. Oh my God.
My mother's gonna listen and be like, what were you doing?
What are you talking about? I thought
you had to make your own pasta bar.
Okay, I'm thinking psychedelic mushrooms because clearly I'm just
It's a reasonable, college drinking. It's a reasonable assumption to think I was talking about psychedelic mushrooms because who just adds that they're throwing out mushrooms to a story?
I mean, yeah, and I'm like, that makes sense because everyone I've known that's done mushrooms has puked them up. So, and then they're like high as fuck anyway, and they're like, I love this. And I'm like, you puke every time. How is it that fun?
It's like, what do you mean you love this?
Like, it's
not. Gosh. So she told me that apparently while I was throwing up mushrooms the night before, she had a premonition that he would die. And how real we think that is, who the hell knows, but she's going to fight me when she hears this. So we shared the news with our friend group via our group text. And Mika's like, we all need to get together to say our goodbyes and, have a funeral for him. And so we were all like, okay. And so Mika wanted to bury Rostopoffish under her favorite tree on the quad. I think it was a sycamore. And she was like, hell yeah. So
specific.
And she was like, no, we can't just bury his body. He needs to have a coffin. Like, we need to care for him and love him. And I was like, okay. And so I went back to my dorm room and I dug through my, what's it called? My recycling, that's what it is. And I got a mini Pops cereal box out of the recycling. And I cut a door in the top of it. And then I lined it with tissues and paper towels.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And so Mika has a fear of fish despite owning and
she owns them.
She's afraid to touch them. So I had to go and get his carcass out of the friggin' tank and just drop his body into his makeshift coffin.
Oh, it's so sad.
So eventually, the only time everyone in our friend group was free, which was literally I don't know, there were 7, 8 of us. And so we went to the quad at midnight. And so we all went there. Yeah, there was a lot of us there. One of us, I don't know who, all I know is it wasn't me, stole spoons from the dining hall. And so we used those as shovels to dig the grave. And so I think my roommate and Mika were the ones who were digging the grave. And they at one point they found a worm and they're like, get this out of here. And they put it in the tree. I was like, no. I was like, the worm.
There's just all accounts of animal abuse.
I made sure it got back on the ground.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. No, I was like, why on earth would we think putting the worm on the tree is where it wants to be?
College kids, man, so many college kids get dogs, and I'm like, ugh. And then they don't take care of them, and it sits in their room for 8 hours a day, and I'm like, why did you get a dog?
Right.
Why did you get a dog?
Oh my gosh. So we dug the grave. It took way too fucking long. Way too long. I'm honestly surprised that public safety did not come and be like, what are you doing? You're vandalizing. So Mika had found this depressing ass poem about death and
as one does.
Some love, I think, was in there. And she read it to Rostopoffish as we buried him. And she sobbed the entire time. And me being me, I laughed because I was awkward and it was an uncomfortable silence. And we're digging up the quad at midnight. And there's just a fish in a cereal box. And so I was laughing. And one of my other friends was like, stop laughing. And it just made me laugh more. I felt bad because Mika's sobbing. I have a video of it.
Did y'all all dress in black and stuff too?
No, but my roommate and her boyfriend at the time were dressed up because I think they had just gone to some sort of dinner. So we're like, wow, you dressed up for the affair. So they were in a suit and a dress, even though they weren't. It wasn't for this. We like to pretend it was. So we went around our semicircle and said words about him. Can't remember what I said or what anyone said. It was honestly a blur.
It's honestly a fish, so
Yeah,
most people just flush them, so.
that was an entire fever dream.
Okay.
And so then we said our words and we covered him up, and left him to the earth under the sycamore. And
May he
then,
rest in peace.
may he rest in peace. We love you, Rustpo Fish. She has never loved a fish the same. She has gotten plenty, but she has never loved them the way she has loved Rustpo Fish.
That's so sad.
So not long after, maybe a week, Mika and I went to PetSmart, and we each got fish. I got my fish Drogon, who lived fucking forever, and then I accidentally cleaned his tank with soap and didn't rinse it well enough.
Girl, no.
Yeah, I feel bad. So people don't message me and harass me because I already feel like a terrible mother. At least I didn't do what Riley did and accidentally drop her fish down the garbage disposal.
Oh my god, Riley, what the fuck?
His name was Ravioli. Oh my god, yeah, I feel bad.
Oh my god, is it like a beta fish? Is that okay? Yeah, I know a stupid amount about beta fish care, so I feel like an asshole because like even to Ever, I was like, oh, beta fish like need to be. Sorry, that's Ivar chasing his tail. But I'm like, even like I'm like, yeah, beta fish need to be in like 5 gallons of water per fish, and like you can't have plastic plants or it'll cut their fins. And I was like going on about fish nutrition. And I'm like, shut up, Dan. Shut up. It's in 3 gallons of water. That's close enough. Don't fucking make this hard for her. Okay, most people don't get beta fish because they want to like have an entire aquarium going. But I'm still that kind of person. It's like if you get an animal, you have to give it proper care.
True.
And I don't know. Also, it's beta fish, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a psycho.
No, I've realized that I enjoy fish, but I'm not a good fish parent. Not on purpose, but I was doing a deep clean of the tank. No, this is actually the one where I went to change it into a new tank while I cleaned the other one. And I didn't realize that I had cleaned that one with soap before. And so apparently I hadn't rinsed well because when I put it up, I filled it up, it looked fine, but I put him in. And then 15 minutes later, I noticed there were bubbles and he was dead.
Oh, no.
And then the other one, I had one recently named Marvell. And we went to visit my parents in Maine. And I didn't realize that I left the heat off.
Oh, he froze to death?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So trust me, folks. I feel bad. I don't need anyone harassing me.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely made stupid mistakes with fish ownership before. Like, I had a fish that, I don't know. So I had this really cool bowl that attached to the wall. And it was like a 4-gallon bowl. Or like a 3-gallon bowl.
Sounds hazardous if that was
It was hazardous. It was. And it was right above my bed. But it was on an external...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But it was on an external wall, and I had it, with screws that were rated for that weight.
Oh, okay.
So, it wasn't just haphazardly on there. And I didn't take into account the fact that the external wall gets really, really cold. So, when I turned the heater on, I was like, oh, this will totally be fine, because I've had other fish tanks, and this temperature was, perfect. Right. No, he froze to death, very quickly. And I felt so bad, and I'm like, oh, no. Because it was such a cool fish tank, but I had to take it down, because it's literally, not usable.
Right. It's just a murder chamber.
It really is. I'm like, damn, why would anyone design a fish tank like this?
Oh my gosh. So many people are like, they're just fish. I'm like, no, they're living creatures, and I feel terrible about the mistakes I made that ended in their death.
They're pets, and they're beautiful, and they rely on you, so...
Exactly.
Probably more than, a cat does, or a dog.
It's true, honestly.
Cats and dogs don't worry about their atmosphere being changed by you in their ability to breathe.
True. So now we have a singular shrimp in our fish tank.
He's
They're a lot
boy.
hardier. He is happy. Very happy.
He
He's
likes
got a
his-
5-gallon tank to himself.
He enjoys his solitude.
Yes. Okay, so I got Drogon. Drogon's dead now. R.I.P. Drogon, love you. And Mika got a beta, and she named him Leo. She certainly did not love him as much as Rostapofish, and she straight up told me constantly, she's like, I feel bad that I don't love him as much as Rostapofish.
At least the good thing is, I don't think your fish can tell.
Right, exactly. So Leo lived for a bit, but eventually he died, and we were to hold another fish funeral. This time it was winter, so we could not go out and bury him. So we had to do it the old-fashioned way, through the toilet, but we didn't have it just be one regular fish funeral. So, all right. This one was held in the girls' bathroom, which was in our hall, and all of our friend group was there, including my friend Matthew. We went to our favorite stall, which was the farthest one in, and it was just kind of lodged in a corner. And Mika put a homemade sign over the toilet, and it said stuff like, R.I.P. Leo, we love you, and stuff like that. And so we poured Leo into the toilet, and while this was happening, we had Joanne by Lady Gaga, but the acoustic version playing on full volume through these handheld speakers. And Steven had come to visit me while we were doing that, and he was like, I heard a lot of Lady Gaga coming from the bathroom, so I assume that's where you were when you weren't in your bedroom.
Yep, that's the fish funeral.
Yep. And so we had Lady Gaga blasting through multiple speakers. People were walking in being like, what the fuck? They were also like, why is there some random guy in here? And so you could hear that way down the hall. You could hear that the hall across the building. Like, you could hear that shit everywhere. So we were all shoved into the corner in our little stall, and it being in the corner made it even harder. But we're all shoved in the stall, Gaga on full volume. So then a few people were holding up lighters, and they were just like swaying them in the air. And while this is happening, Mika naturally is sobbing while all of us are laughing. And eventually we just flushed that slut down the drain, and he went to his new home.
He's with his fishy friends in his fishy grave.
Exactly. And that was the last fish that Mika got that year. I think that was probably a good choice.
The best.
She's gone through a few fish since Leo, but I wrote, no one holds her heart like Rostapofish. So yeah, that was the story of my 2 fish funerals I have personally attended. I've attended more in life with my own fish, but those were the iconic ones that stood out because Mika truly loves her fish.
Honestly, fish funerals in college, I feel like it's a rite of passage. Like, I think everyone goes to a fish funeral in college.
That's fair.
Because a lot of people own fish and they just shouldn't in college.
Right.
But they do. And
exactly. Drogon made it so long. He made it like to when I left that school, came to New England, and lived in my apartment. And he made it to not long before I moved into my house now. So he lived a while.
What school did you go to originally, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to the University of
Where the fuck is that?
It's in
Oh, ha! Geography.
It was a pretty good city. Don't suggest the school, but we'll maybe get into that at a later date when I'm not in a court case.
Are you in a court case with that school still?
Yeah, still.
Is that the one you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, I should have taken my last school to court, man. Like, that was ridiculous. They shouldn't have, let the riots get that out of control.
Schools don't know how to handle most things, I feel like. Doesn't work for everyone, but choosing online school, best decision I made in my entire life. I was never happier, and I truly loved college. Never felt like I was learning more than when I was there. Like, we didn't have any exams. We just had a bunch of projects, so you had to really utilize the knowledge that you learned in the class. Um, and I absolutely loved it. It was amazing, and I did really well.
Honestly,
It just worked for me.
that's a lot better than exams.
Yeah, it really was.
Because, like,
So they're
honestly,
testing
like,
your true knowledge instead of your memory.
because I was looking at accredited schools for, you know, becoming a licensed professional counselor, like doing
Right.
therapy and counseling and stuff like that. And there are so few like accredited colleges for those programs that are online that like
It's true.
you can get a like there might be accredited ones, but there's not many you can get. Like you can be like, I have a degree from this place, and then they're like, oh, cool, we'll license you. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm still confused on how it all works, but my advisor is very much scaring me.
Yeah, like I knew I didn't want to be like a therapist just because it wasn't what I wanted. I was like, I either want to be a victim advocate because my ultimate goal, like my ultimate focus was cults. But
I love
helping
that.
people in cults, it's such a niche profession. So my
But honestly,
side
a very
thing,
needed one.
oh yes, it's very needed. There's just so few like organizations and stuff that actually do it. So so yeah, so right now I'm focusing on victim advocacy, and I also had an interest in research at one point, which all that stuff is easy to do, like get your degree online cuz like the only part I'd be working is with like victims of crime and stuff, which I have already done.
And you might have to like do an internship in person for that part, but
Right.
like,
So
because I know
we
it's like
shall see.
I'm like trying to get internships so I can get into grad school, and my therapist is like, you don't need an internship to get into like psych grad school, and then my advisor, Ivar's chasing his tail again. I'm so sorry. And then my advisor is like, you absolutely need an internship to get into grad school. It's so competitive, and I'm like, I don't know who to believe. I don't know who to
I
believe.
really wanted to go to grad school, and then I was like, okay, I'm not 100% positive about what I want, and I'm pretty sure that what I'm most interested in, I don't need grad school. If money wasn't a problem, I would go to grad school just for fun, because I like school. But
Honestly,
but yeah, so I for a while I was looking at grad schools, and but yeah, I enjoyed my online school.
I'm
It was
sorry.
good.
My dog is everywhere having a snooze fest.
It was never a school I considered either because I was like, oh, it's close to home. Like, it's a big school. Like, it's one that's like, quote, easy to get into. And when I was in high school, I was like, I need to get into the best school ever. And like, I got into some of the top schools in like Scotland. So I was like, I need to go to a really good school. And it's like, it's
Why didn't you go to Scotland for school?
because offered me a lot of money, and then the second year they took it all away and they discriminated against me. So
Ah,
so would have
love
but
that.
we love it. So if you guys want to interact with us or follow us on social media, you can find us on pretty much every platform, and our username is You Don't Look It Podcast. On Twitter, you can find us where You Don't Look It, but you could also search You Don't Look It Podcast and it will show up. But for an easy way to find us on everything, including YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, our Patreon, you can go to the link in our Instagram bio, which again is You Don't Look It Podcast, and that will take you. You can click whichever one you want to find. So all of our episodes will be going up on YouTube. The audio will be. We'll keep you updated via social media. We have a Facebook group that you can join. And if you want to email us, our email is you don't look at podcast@gmail.com. You can email us any questions. You can also message us on social media, whatever works for you. If you have any fun stories of your own, definitely feel free to send us an email because we're hoping to do listener stories each month. And we want to hear some of your crazy stories. And if you feel so inclined and want to support our journey, you are more than welcome to donate and become a patron for our Patreon. Um, We're still figuring out the tiers and what we want to add to those. So give us some feedback on that as well. Right now, we have it being that if you're a patron, you get access to a private Facebook group, you get access to a private Discord. We're thinking we'll do Q&As, maybe a live stream. Definitely still figuring it out. So give us feedback about what you'd like to see, and we can make some different tiers as well on Patreon. But yeah, I think that's it.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, and we're excited to come back next week once all of these go live.
Hell yeah. So keep an ear out. We'll figure out a day we want to have be our day of the week to release it. And we'll let you guys know when to expect new episodes each week.
Yep.
But yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.